And welcome back to my channel. I want to start this video off with a short story. I have made some comments about this in earlier videos from like 2020, but I haven't told this story in its entirety. So September of 2019, I'm living in LA. I live by myself and I am not feeling well. I feel sick, and it's kind of a season where I feel like a lot of people are getting sick. So when I was sick, you know, all of my life, I was known to take vitamin C. Vitamin C does the body well. At least that's what I've learned. So I overloaded my body on orange juice, just trying to recover and get back to normalcy for me. Just a reminder, I had my first transplant in 2014. So this is 5 years post my first transplant. I'm really feeling like my body's doing well in the kidney space. So I'm just thinking I'm dealing with some level of illness that I can just kind of knock out with orange juice. So I'm overloading my body on orange juice and water, orange juice and water. But I was checking my blood pressure at the time, and it's just getting increasingly more high. I think it topped out around like 250 something over 160 something. So super high. And next thing you know, I started to feel tingling down my legs. Like my legs slowly but surely became numb, and I was crawling around the house, and I knew I had to get to the hospital. I think by the time my legs went completely numb, it was about 11:30 p.m. at night. And even with all the numbness in my legs, I drove myself to the ER. This would be the time that I found out that my kidneys have failed. So this is when the whole journey had started. But I was wondering, I'm like, my body, my legs being numb, like what caused that? And what most people don't know is that orange juice, yes, is high in vitamin C, but it's also high in potassium. And if you are a CKD patient or a dialysis patient, potassium is an element that you've heard over and over and over again. And I was overloading my body on potassium, which CKD patients typically have to limit their potassium intake. And I was just building up the potassium in my body. It was then, once the doctors told me what I was doing to my body with this orange juice, that I realized like how nuanced our diet as kidney disease patients is, and like how something as common as orange juice, and feeling like the knowledge surrounding orange juice is that orange juice is good for the body. Like we as kidney disease patients, we have to take care of our bodies and pay close attention to our diet on every little thing, just to make sure that we're okay. So I did want to talk about, if you are somebody who has recently been diagnosed with kidney disease, or you're somebody currently dealing with kidney disease or on dialysis, I wanted to talk about diet. I reached out to my dietitian. She didn't want to be on camera, so I just kind of reviewed some things with her before I brought it to you guys, because like I said, I am not a doctor, I am not a physician, I am just a kidney disease patient. Everything I say to you regarding your diet and the things you do to take care of yourself as a kidney disease patient, please cross-reference, check, double check, triple check all these things with your physician at home, your nephrologist at home, and your dietitian, because I don't want to lead you astray. There isn't such thing as a common kidney disease diet. It varies depending on the disease and the level of CKD that you're dealing with. My specific disease, FSGS, and how they moderated and curated my diet was low potassium, low sodium, low phosphorus, and then protein varied whether I was on dialysis. When I was off dialysis, they wanted low protein because it was hard for the kidney to get rid of the protein. On dialysis, the dialysis actually removes the protein from your body alongside all the other waste. So I was on a high protein diet when I was on dialysis. So just that instance alone, it shows you that it can vary depending on where you are in your kidney disease journey. So I took a couple of notes so we could talk about, if you are somebody that's new to kidney disease and you're wondering what to expect from your diet, especially like somebody like me who is a foodie who loves to eat and try everything. You know, life changed when I got on dialysis and my kidney disease progressed to a space where I had to limit a lot of the things that I love. So we're going to start with potassium, as that's what my story included, is having these oranges and this orange juice and how that potassium built in the body. So when potassium builds up in your blood, it can cause muscle weakness, and it can cause heart rhythm issues. So high potassium accumulated in the kidneys can cause further issues for your heart. And that's a whole other set of problems that you deal with when you get heart issues. So bananas, oranges, potatoes, things that typically are viewed as healthy items become things that you have to limit when it comes to a low potassium diet. Some of my issues were with potassium because I loved French fries. I love potatoes. I love them to this day, but I loved them especially when I couldn't have them when I was on dialysis. So having to poach my potatoes was something I did to allow me to be able to still eat them because I love potatoes so much, but I did limit them, and I only poached them on the rare occasion where I was able to have them. The next thing I wanted to talk about, I have a whole video about this, but sodium. Most kidney disease patients are on a steroid. Everybody is typically familiar with prednisone. Prednisone already causes swelling in the body. Well, excess sodium causes additional swelling on top of the moon phase that is caused from the prednisone. So sodium works negatively on your body in two ways. One, sodium retains fluid on your body when, as a dialysis patient, you're already retaining so much fluid on your body anyway. So any excess sodium makes you retain even more fluid, but also sodium makes you thirsty. The more salty something is, the more thirsty you are, the more water you're going to want to intake, which then in turn causes, yes, more swelling. I love water. It's my main beverage of choice. I always drink it with my meals, but I like to drink it on a consistent basis. I keep one of these with me, and I probably drink 4 to 5 of these a day because I maintained a workout routine when I was on dialysis. Like, I didn't have a water restriction, but a lot of CKD patients, when it comes to the swelling, doctors will put you on a water restriction. Not even water, just fluid in general. So like soups, juices, any type of drink. You have a fluid restriction just to keep that swelling off of your body. When that swelling increases, I remember the days where I was on dialysis, I didn't have a fluid restriction. I could still feel the effects on my body, so I would make the adjustment for myself. But sometimes I couldn't lay all the way down because it would feel like I was choking on something because my body was just so overfilled with fluid, where I probably was sleeping like at a slant like this, just so I felt like I could breathe throughout the night. So sodium is a big part of that. When it comes to limiting your sodium, this does not always mean table salt that you add to your food. Processed foods are jam-packed with sodium. Canned soups, canned anything is typically packed with sodium. So when you become a CKD patient, cooking at home where you know what's going in your food is always going to be better for you. I understand the convenience of going out to eat, but when you're a CKD patient, you do not know what these people are putting in the food. We don't know what these people are putting in the food on a regular basis, but for a CKD patient, when you're trying to closely follow your diet and these different elements that are in the food, I would suggest, if you can, to cook at home. It's just the best viable option for you when it comes to trying to do the things that you can to increase your quality of life, which you guys know that I preach. The next thing I want to talk about is protein. A huge sign of kidney disease is leaking protein in your urine. So when you go take your urine test, you can see like the small like calcium and protein deposits in your urine. And when they test it, there is protein in your urine, which is a huge sign of kidney disease. When you're on dialysis, that machine, whether it be the peritoneal dialysis machine or the hemodialysis machine, is removing a lot of that protein out of your body, and you need that protein for your muscles. You have to eat a lot of protein on dialysis. Where on the other side of that, if you're just a CKD patient and you're not yet on dialysis, some people, they have to limit their protein because the kidneys has a hard time processing and removing that protein from your body by itself. Depending on what side of the sword you're on, it's a different variation of what you have to do to maintain your health. The last element that I wanted to talk about is phosphorus. My phosphorus journey, I think, might have been the craziest one. I was on phosphorus binders. Those pills are pretty big. When you take them, they're supposed to go into the body and grab onto whatever phosphorus is in your system and then be released in your waste. I think at one point I was on maybe like 4 or 5 phosphorus binders per meal. So anytime that I was having a meal, I was eating the phosphorus binders with them. And that's how many I need because I was just retaining so much phosphorus in my body. When phosphorus starts to build up in your blood, it can pull calcium from your bones, making the bones weaker and causing calcium to build up in your blood vessels, potentially causing more heart issues. When kidney disease happens to your body and your kidneys start to fail, the next organ that starts to be deeply affected is the heart. And heart issues, we only have one of those. And yes, there is such thing as a heart transplant, but that's an even more difficult and daunting process than the kidney transplant process. People only have one heart. When you are a kidney patient and you feel like, oh my God, there's one other thing that's out of my control. I can't eat these things. I was raised in the South, so I built bonds over food. Growing up, me and my family ate at the table every single night. So like I communed over food. Food was something that became important in my life for everything that was surrounding it. So when doctors told me, oh, you can't eat this or you shouldn't go out to eat, it felt unfair. But like most things in this CKD journey, you have to shift your mentality and look at when you're on dialysis, that's the first line of defense. But I saw my food and my diet as the second line of defense. That's the one thing that I could control that could help my body endure the fight that it was going through. Instead of feeling like it's unfair for me to have this restricted diet, the fact that I had the ability to still do something to help my body fight on, that's the blessing. So it's always a perspective shift when it comes to this journey. If you grasp it in your mind and how to handle it, or just you change your perspective, the journey is way more endurable. Phosphorus is found a lot in dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheese, all those things. So those are all things that I love. Like all those things are typically high in phosphorus. So that's something that I did have to limit. But like I said, if I have the capability to do something that's going to help my body to fight to get to where I am today, it's completely worth it. For people out there who are struggling with your diet in your CKD journey, don't look at having food restrictions as a punishment. Look at it as protection. So I have partnered with a brand that I wanted to share with you guys that might make your CKD diet journey a little bit easier. I want to introduce to you guys HungryRoot. HungryRoot is a food delivery service that I have used as of recent just to check it out before I shared it with you guys, where I was supplied $200 worth of groceries to order foods that were delivered to my house within a week. And it is on a subscription base, so you can get this delivered every week. You can get it delivered bi-weekly, you can get it monthly. But for those of us, we know groceries are super expensive, but you can taper your subscription to your cost and like what you can afford. So HungryRoot, you can go on HungryRoot.com. I have a video right here that you can check out of how to navigate the website to be able to find the diet, which is, for most of you guys watching this, the renal diet within the HungryRoot system, that these foods can be delivered to you at your convenience. So I went in and I went into the website. It asks you a couple of questions. It makes you take a quiz on like what type of meals you want to cook. Because some of the meat, some of the proteins are already pre-cooked. All you have to do is warm them. Some of them is raw and organic food. Like you can pretty much taper the whole meal plan to exactly your needs and how much you're willing to cook, how long you're willing to cook, how long you're willing to prep your food. For those of you guys who like the cooking process, who enjoy it, and sometimes I am that way. Sometimes I do love cooking for people. You can mix it up however you feel. I think it's a really good resource for you. Obviously, check with your dietitian for your exact dietary restrictions and your needs before you go on this website. And that way you kind of have a plan when you go on the website to look at, okay, I need to do low sodium. I need to do non-GMO. You know what? I want to do organic foods. I want my meal prep time to be between 20 to 30 minutes. I need to save time because guess what? Some of you guys aren't just dealing with CKD. Some of you guys have whole families that you're taking care of. So you do need the convenience of doing a short prep meal so you can do the rest of the things that you need to do for your day. But I think it is a great resource. It has so many different meal plans. What it will do, once you take your test, your quiz, you kind of taper the meal plan to your needs, it'll curate its own menu for you. And each meal is a certain number of points. And the point system is dependent upon how much you want to pay for your food. But basically, if you have a meal that's 9 points and it's not something that you want to eat, you can go into that same dietary restriction and you can pick a whole other meal for 9 points to replace it. If it's things that you don't like, go in and replace it with things that you feel like are more convenient or more tasty or whatever it is for you. I wanted to bring this to the channel because I know a lot of people struggle in this space when it comes to a renal diet. It gets hard. You get the major things, like potassium is bananas, it's potatoes, you may now know it's oranges, but what else? First and foremost, I do urge you to become really good friends with your dietitian. Your dietitian at your hospital who works with your nephrologist, that should be a part of your program. You should be able to call at any time that you want. We have a portal. Whenever I have any question, I send them a text. Within the day, I get an answer. So I utilize that resource. Even now, like my diet is not nearly as restricted, but as somebody who wants to maintain good health, especially dealing with all the internal issues that kidney disease has caused over the years, like I still reach out with every little question. That is what they're there for. So I urge you to do that. If you guys want to use HungryRoot, all the information will be in the description box below. But generally, I wanted to bring it to you guys because I do think it is a wonderful resource for those of you who are looking to find where you can curate this diet that now is new in your life since you've become a CKD patient. And how do you utilize this diet as a defense for you in your fight against CKD? I hope this video helps. I hope you guys love HungryRoot. I loved it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.